Well, let's return to that top story this hour, that the latest drone attack reported in the Crimean peninsula. In recent weeks, Russian military facilities in Crimea have increasingly come under attack from Ukrainian forces. In July, Russian officials alleged that a Ukrainian drone attack forced an end to Navy Day celebrations in Sevastopol. On the 9th of August, at least 8 Russian fighter jets were destroyed in the bombardment of Saki airbase. A week later, there were explosions at an arms depot near the town of Zankoy. Moscow has blamed the explosion on sabotage. And yesterday, on Friday, officials in Crimea claimed a Ukrainian drone was shot down near a key military airfield. Well, we can go live to Kyiv now and join James Waterhouse, our correspondent there. And what can you tell us, James, about this latest attack?
Well, we know what the pictures suggest. It's very difficult given how deep it is inside Russian-occupied territory. There's been verified footage which appears to show black smoke coming out of a building in Sevastopol, where authorities say the roof of the headquarters of the Black Sea Fleet headquarters was hit after a Ukrainian drone was shot down. But let's take a step away from that. This has been 11 days, which has seen Crimea destabilised in a way that few predicted. This is part of Ukrainian territory which Russia has occupied and controlled for 8 years. So much so, Russian tourists used it as a regular holiday destination. They stood there in their swimming trunks and bikinis and watched on as ammunition depots were engulfed in flames. So the Moscow-installed authorities there today are urging people to stay calm as the peninsula gets drawn into this conflict. And clearly Ukraine is using a new capability to strike further behind enemy lines. That said, it hasn't officially admitted responsibility, but it has taken great delight in the images we're seeing today.
Obviously that's significant then, but what sort of impact is it having in general terms on Russia's forces in total?
There is very little troop movement in the sense of how the front lines are moving. We've had weeks of Ukraine hinting at a sizable counter-offensive on the city of Kherson, one of the first cities to fall in this war further north from Crimea. That has not happened. We are seeing a front line spanning hundreds of miles running all the way through to the Donbass region, where there has been, again, little movement. This is fast becoming a conflict of artillery and longer-range missile attacks. The US has delivered another £650 million package, including missiles, radar systems, smaller explosives, and it is allowing Ukraine to hold the defensive line, but as ever, it isn't allowing Ukraine to do anything further than that. Nevertheless, these strikes further into Russian-occupied territory will frustrate its supply lines, but also it does send a message, and it makes it difficult for Russia to sell this war back inside the country.
Right, and just if I can ask you separately about what's going on at Zaporizhzhia, the nuclear plant. We've been hearing Russia talk about possibly allowing UN officials access to the site.
This will be all about the details. So the Kremlin has announced that it will give United Nations inspectors the help needed to get access to the site. It's after a conversation between President Putin and Emmanuel Macron of France. And this is what Ukraine, the West, the United Nations has been calling for a while, along with the zone at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, Europe's largest, to be demilitarized, for Russia to effectively pull out and hand back control to Ukraine. Moscow has continually refused to do that, saying it would leave the area vulnerable. It's also accused Ukraine of staging provocations by shelling the site. Kyiv in turn accuses Russia of shelling the site themselves to send a message or create a false narrative about what the Ukrainians are apparently doing. So this is a breakthrough in what is an incredibly tense, nervous situation. What will the inspectors want to do? They'll want to check staff's capability to monitor the reactor, staff who have told the BBC that they're often kept at gunpoint. They'll want to check on the power supply, because we've spoken to former officials here in Kyiv who say as the Russians try to redirect power to the Crimean power grid, there's a chance the site could be cut off Generators would, in theory, kick in, but if those were to fail, then that would heighten concerns about the state of those nuclear reactors. So, yes, it's a breakthrough, but it will be all about the detail, and I think longer-term concerns around continued fighting just aren't going to go away.
OK, thanks for now. James Waterhouse there for us live in Kyiv. Thank you.